Move them over a little bit. Are they recording?
They're recording. Okay, episode 1.
That thing's lopsided.
No, that's good. We'll correct it in post.
Okay, you gotta zoom. You're not
Episode
in it
1,
enough.
Main Co podcast. Yeah, there we go.
What's this one doing?
That one looks good.
Okay, we have to do a clap.
Good?
Okay, clap.
Okay, episode 1, Main Co podcast. This unofficial name for now. We haven't named it yet. But we're starting our first podcast. We're getting it done. Both have YouTube channels, and we both do really well on them, so we have a lot of information we need to get out to the public. Not just surf related, but kind of everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And so we're going to be using this as like discussions, whether it's he goes on a trip I haven't gone on and comes home, we break down his trip, vice versa, or we go on a trip together, swell strikes, anything like that, and non-surf related stuff.
Or the Eddie gets called on,
Speaking of this week,
which it just got called on. It's gonna run in 2 days. Also, you guys, if you have any good names for our podcast, we're looking for
Yes.
good names at the moment.
comment somewhere. We'll
So-
probably put this on YouTube as well as podcast platforms so you guys can listen into it into the car or wherever
Yeah.
people do their podcasting, listening.
Spotify,
Spotify.
right? What did
And,
Bird say?
Bert said everything, I think, and we're gonna have maybe Bert on at some point. He was all stoked. He kind of motivated us to start our own podcast. It was something we were thinking about,
Yeah.
and so we have an easy discussion together, and we just decided to do it. And so we got an exciting week ahead. We both are in the Eddy, and Koa did the Eddy
Yeah.
years ago, and I remember I was surfing the Outer Reefs, and just so happens that Eddy was like the biggest Eddy ever ever held,
The biggest Waimea could ever handle.
and
I-
probably the most FOMO I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I got so lucky. Last time I ran was in 2016, and I remember my first heat, you guys pulling up on the jet ski.
Just in time.
But yeah, it's funny how I got into that event was they called it on.
Your
a
first
week-
alternate, right?
I was first alternate. They called the event on to run, canceled it that morning. A week later, called it on again, and Jeremy Flores was in France, couldn't make it.
So he flew in and flew back home.
He
and then,
flew in, flew back home,
oh my god.
and then couldn't make it the second time. And I got in as first alternate. Only one alternate got in, and
Love
that was-
Jeremy, but I would way rather watch you in the Eddy.
That was fun. That was crazy. It was
I remember
huge.
First thing I pull up on the ski, and it was somehow me, Russo, Eli on the ski with two guns, and we pull up Harley mode. Like,
Yeah.
like you couldn't
You guys
stand
were
us,
gonna
like-
sink that jet ski, dude.
Waimea's second reefing, so like as big as
Yeah.
it could possibly get, and these guys are paddling out in like. You had Alexander, Makua,
Your
Mason,
brother
and John, in your
and Clyde
heat.
Ical.
One of the most legendary heats, and I was just
Yeah.
sitting on the ski like tripping because all I wanted to do was be in this heat and surf with these guys. And exactly what I thought was gonna happen,
Yep.
guys just started going ballistic. First thing I see
Sending.
is was it you? No, it was Kala and Makua on the same wave.
Oh, I was on that wave too.
Yeah, yeah, you were
And
on the side.
Kala ends up
Oh.
eating shit and doing like this massive backflip
On a
upside
25-foot
down.
wave.
Yeah, the wave was as big as a wave could ever be.
So
Wow.
hectic.
Dude, so for those of you who don't know, the Eddie Aikau event is like one of the most prestigious big wave contests out there.
Yep.
And last time it ran was 2016, which I luckily got in. I was way younger. And then the time before that was 2009, I think, when Greg Long won it.
Yep.
So it's one of these things that we've looked up to our whole life as like the big wave contest, like ever. Like it's the gnarliest guys in the gnarliest waves at some of the most dangerous, like,
And it's where we
surf.
grew up. Like so.
Yeah.
It's the most badass dudes on the planet gathering at this slab, which is Waimea, and then this event comes from big wave riders, the most prestigious big wave riders in the world, and it's in the North Shore of Oahu where we grew up. So we grew up every year as kids as we started surfing and doing our thing. And from when me and Koa decided when we were young that we wanted to be big wave surfers, like the event at that time was the Eddie. There was no Jaws event. There was no other big wave event.
That was it.
That was it. There was the XXL Awards, but that was different because it was a year-long thing. This was like single concentrated at Waimea. And so every year, us going to Sunset Beach Elementary, to Kahuku, and then no school at all, but we...
No school?
No school at all.
Wait, Nate, did you graduate?
No graduation.
Should we talk about that?
Guest appearance, Lona.
Lona. Did we wake you up?
Oh, fuck. My bad.
Sorry,
We're doing our first podcast.
Podcasts?
We're podcasters now.
Podcast.
What's going on, everyone?
Yeah. So,
Stay tuned.
exactly. We grew up watching this event, and we wanted nothing more to be a part of this event. Because when we were kids, we realized at one point our favorite thing to do, it started in the shore break at Keiki, and then it started at the sandbars, and then slowly graduated into, we were like, fuck being small wave surfers.
Yeah.
We are going to go hard into big wave surfing, and if you guys don't know, Koa and I grew up here together, and we have been pretty much a part of every big wave session that we both experienced. We've experienced it together, and as our careers boosted into big wave surfing, we did that most of the time together, and some of our most memorable waves ever ridden were together because if this fucker, like, if I knew if I didn't go, this fucker was going to go. So I was like, screw this, I'm going no matter what.
Yeah.
And it created these blackout sessions, like, where we had some of the sessions of our lives.
Exactly. The best waves I've ever caught are because you and friends have pushed me.
Yep.
And you too. Remember that wave in Tahiti?
Yep.
This
That Tahiti
huge-
session, we both rode the biggest waves we've ever ridden at Chopes, and at that time, they were the biggest waves paddled, I think, for a front setter and a goofy footer.
I think your wave is still the gnarliest wave ever paddled out there. You should probably show the clip over this or whatever. But I remember going on one that I was like, this is one of the biggest waves I've ever looked at to paddle into at Chopo, and going, eating shit, and then getting rescued by someone in the lagoon, and looking up, sitting up on the jet ski and watching someone, not knowing it was you right away, just come flying out of what I thought was a tow wave. I'm like, oh, that was a tow surfer. A tow surfer just caught like a sick wave. And I get back out and I see the clip of Nate just riding one of the biggest paddle waves. Still to this day, I think is the gnarliest paddle wave I've ever seen.
Well,
my entire life.
It was like what we talked about, like that session. There's a thing that happens in those type of sessions under that type of intensity where everyone can either go one way of, hey, we're not going to push today, no one's feeling it, or it can turn and go, anyone I see next to me is potentially going to go on this next wave, and then therefore so am I. And I remember that day, you were having like a super session. Like, it wasn't just the one wave before. It was like, I think you paddled one in the morning, huge West Bowl glassy one that you like almost fell in the beginning. And we have these clips we can show them. And then you paddled another one that you made, and then I was like, oh my god, like Koa just paddled 2 waves of his lives. Like I've had a few, but nothing crazy. And then another set comes, and that's the one you cartwheeled on. You sent it and caught your outside rail and cartwheeled. And after that, that was a third bomb ridden by you. I was like, I do not care what comes in right now. I'm putting the blinders on and I'm fucking going. And that was right after he sent that last one. And so literally the next set, I just saw a wall, turned around, and I didn't look back. And from the back, I guess they thought I was paddling too far in, that I had paddled too early and didn't look back to read it, so it was going to break over me.
Yeah.
But because Chopes is so gnarly, like, you almost can't be too under it. It sucks up so heavy.
You like ended up airdropping on that wave too, so you could have been even further in.
Yeah, it pulled me up, and it's so interesting out there because the second you go from momentum of yourself paddling to stopping paddling just to put your hands on your rail, you move like 4 foot back up the face of the wave.
No, you move like 10 feet.
So you get pulled, like within half a second you get pulled, you lose all this ground, and you just hope that as you're getting pulled, the momentum catches you. And that's kind of what that wave did.
And like it like sucks you up and then just like lets you drop.
Yep, pin
you're
drop.
Like,
and you just hope you connect.
Like, you're at the mercy of that wave. Front side or back side. It's just like, is it going to let me make it or is it not?
Yeah.
But I have a question for you.
Oh. Okay, go.
Ask Nate a question. How do you feel about being in your first Eddie?
I don't know how I feel about it because it's hard because of how heavy that last Eddie was. Like,
Yeah.
in my head, that's like the pinnacle of what the Eddie can be. And so I know, like, since then even, like, our performance and what we're willing to do and our capabilities, like our skill level is so much higher already from just that time then. If the swell match what that was, what we could do now, I mean,
Guys will be getting blown out of barrels.
exactly. So, like, for me, like, I really just want it to be, I want it to match that. Like, I want the one that I compete in to be the heaviest one ever. You know, you want that.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be like, yeah, but it wasn't as big as 2016.
Yeah.
Either way, like, I am so excited to compete in the Eddie, and I'm more excited because my brother's in it, you're in it. Like, all my best friends, all the
Yeah.
big wave guys I look up to, like, the crowd in the group, to, like, go and push yourself with those guys and try to be near their level is a dream, but I also really want to be flexing as hard as it possibly can
Yeah,
be flexing.
me too.
Because I know that's when we're gonna do best. I don't want easy roll-ins. I want it to be like as gnarly as it can be. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of feel.
Oh, my mom's pulling out.
We're filming a podcast.
Can you take a picture of your very first setup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is important.
Look
shit
at our
here.
setup. Look at this high-tech
Fucking
tripod.
Love it. I love it.
We don't even know if this is picking up audio right now. Good enough audio.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Day one.
This is my mom. Come say hi in the camera. Remember, this is living the vlog. My vlog started right here in this
Oh, yeah,
yard,
in the
in this
same
exact
Right
area.
here.
same spot. Yeah.
Right here.
This is my mom, you guys. Yeah. Which
I love it.
which did inspire you to make your vlog.
I wanted to start Shadow Company vlog before this, and you
I-
abandoned me to start your own, which I back because in the end it was way better.
No, yeah, it is good.
It was way better. And I'm
I-
now the leading vlog.
Yeah, you do good. But let's talk dollars.
We don't talk ad rev. We won't show ad rev.
No, it's funny because I forgot what we were talking about earlier, but me, Nate, Billy, Luke Davis,
Yep.
a long time ago, before we ever started our YouTube channels, started something called Shadow Company. We made a movie, and we traveled around the world, and like we still do now.
We had a crazy season too.
We had the craziest season of all time, made a movie, and then what was going to happen from there was we were going to make a series,
Yeah.
less vlog-like, but in doing that, it was hard enough to get everyone together to make that movie that the series of it fell through, and that was called Shadow Company.
Mhm.
And that movie still is so sick.
It's so good.
Yeah, I don't even think it's on.
It's not on YouTube.
YouTube.
It's hidden somewhere on another streaming platform, but it was a season of like we got crazy Fiji, Tahiti, Australia. We had
Yeah.
psycho Australia clips. We had crazy. Did we even have pipe? I don't know if we had pipe.
Dude, we didn't even have a pipe,
We had a crazy Panama part, silverbacks.
did we?
I thought so, yeah, because the cover was us. Some of the screenshots of the covers was from Panama. Pretty
Was
sure.
it?
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember. That was so long. What was that? Like 2017?
2017. Basically, what we were doing is like we're doing a version of what we do now, but we were way less efficient with putting content out. Like you guys say you love the vlogs and what we do now, but we've been doing that for years as far as the surfing side. We just didn't put the content out like we do now. We weren't as good.
Yeah, we
We would
wasted
save
a lot of
footage for a
trips.
year and put an edit out when it's like that shit's old. Like now we put them out like day of. Like you guys get everything that
Yeah.
happened like just a day ago. Like you know, like you're experiencing it with us. And so
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff, like it just had to change. And it's like you said, imagine how we're the two most biggest procrastinators on the planet, or more scrambled than any human, maybe besides Billy.
Billy today, you guys should have seen Billy today scrambling about the Eddie because I guess Clyde Aikau, who puts the event on, is named after his brother. Billy was in charge. I don't know if he was in charge or what, but Clyde made Billy the point of contact to forecast the swell for not tomorrow, but the next day that they're going to call the Eddy on. And he called me about 6 times today, probably called you a million times, talked to John, his brother. He was like, I'm trying to get an opinion from everyone.
Yeah.
And then he finally got that to Clyde, and then Clyde went ahead and made the decision on his own with other forecasters involved. But back to the content, what we were just talking about. Before, do you remember we used to just, we didn't think of doing YouTube, because what we would do before that was we would get covers of magazines.
Yeah.
Spreads in magazines,
Yeah.
or like the cover of a Surfline feature.
Yep.
I remember that used to be an incentive of mine.
Totally, me
Was
too.
If you had a feature or you're the thumbnail of that feature on Surfline, I got money for that.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is how surfing is now. If you're a professional surfer, you need to be able to pivot on how you're going to get paid best, right? And before it was magazine.
Yeah.
Where are the eyes looking at you? It's all in magazine. There is nothing else. And
Yeah.
then it was Instagram and YouTube down the line. It was magazines and surf films. Surf films were huge. And in my opinion,
Yeah.
View from a Blue Moon was the top of that market. It peaked. View
Yeah.
from a Blue Moon, best film ever.
It destroyed
No one
the
could match it
market,
after
and
that.
then it just went downhill.
And it left this big gap for YouTube.
Yeah.
And so,
But
I mean,
Jamie was doing it for a long time with Red Bull.
and that's
at one
why
point.
Jamie is one of the top 1% most like successful surfers. He was on content before.
Yeah.
Remember his films he used to
Non-competitive
make?
surfers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In free surfing, he was making films when they were the top thing. Freak Side and Freak Show and all those crazy
Is
movies.
J.O.B.?
Then Who is J.O.B.?
Yeah.
And then now his
His
vlogs.
job vlog.
Job vlog. And Jamie was a
Wow.
big part of like telling us like, you guys are fucking drums, you better get on it.
He's like, dude, start making videos. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I never watched YouTube. I never
No.
did anything. And now it's led us into a podcast. And I promise you guys, our setup is gonna get better than what we have right now. But
We'll have
the
to edit
Eddy
audio.
was just called on, so we're like, let's just sit down and talk about it. And we're all
Yeah.
scrambling, whatever.
Yeah.
We have some super nice mics in the house that we have no idea how to use. We have lots of computers. All the gear probably we need to do it properly. But this is our setup for now. 2 little 4K handycams, and we're just gonna talk to you.
Do you still get the same nerves like for a swell like this as we did say like 5 years ago?
No, not at all.
I feel like mine's not the same either. It's like more deadpan.
Yeah, because I think of it like we've either done one of two things. We either have gotten used to it and know our capabilities,
Yeah.
or we have completely burned out our adrenal glands.
Yeah.
Because we should be
Yeah.
more scared than...
Yeah.
Actually, the day of, I will get scared.
sure.
But before, if I saw the swell, I would have been freaking out 4 days ago.
100%.
I would have been having a hard time sleeping. Like,
Yeah.
Just like wigging out, sweating, like getting my boards ready. And now I'm just like much more calm and relaxed. Like I know what to do.
I 100% feel the same way. And I think it's a mix of those two.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, it's repetition. We've surfed so
Yeah.
many more. Like our big wave career probably only started 5 years ago. Realistically, like
Yeah.
we were surfing bigger waves before, but only doing well.
yeah,
like
I
5 years ago.
peak performing, yeah.
Yeah.
And imagine the exposure to like, imagine your job, and some of you probably have a job in that, like the job in our category in surfing is exposing yourself to life-threatening waves or situations. It's not just the winter in Hawaii. It's not
Yeah,
that
it
anymore.
doesn't stop.
As soon as Hawaii winter ends, choke season, thundercloud season, big Fiji. There's
Yeah.
big waves everywhere. So you have a
South
year-round
Oz.
exposure to like giant adrenaline dumps.
Yeah.
We're either very burnt out or we've just gotten a lot more confident in our wave decision making.
Yes.
Because before, one of the biggest stresses was I don't know what wave I'm going to decide to go on. I know I'm going to black out at some point and I'm going to fucking
Yeah.
go on something. Whereas now we're a lot more like tactical
Yeah.
in the right wave to choose. Even if we're pushing the limit, we're still more tactical than we were.
Yeah. I used to go to Jaws and get lipped in the back of the head every swell.
I would never surf Jaws
And then I would
backside.
body
don't think I would
surf
surf
waves
backside.
out there on accident. And then I got barreled one time on a small Jaws wave. And I was like, you know what?
That's it.
I don't know if I'm going back.
Yeah, I don't know if I would surf Jaws backside. It's scary enough frontside.
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah, and that leads into cool stuff though, like what you guys did at Himalayas last year.
Yeah, we scored. Luckily, because I got so sick of going to Jaws, we have amazing big waves here on Oahu. And me and his brother, John, all these guys, sorry.
The waves are picking up right now, so someone's probably getting rescued.
People are having panic attacks on the beach. The
That is
newer
correct.
guys, they're having panic attacks
Those
in
are the
this
newer
5
guys.
feet. But I completely forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about Hemis. You didn't
Oh
go to
yeah.
Jaws
Okay,
because
so
you
that
weren't-
one very good Hemi swell, me and your brother scored, which I actually got hurt on. The only reason I stayed here is because of my knowledge
Yeah.
of surfing over the years, being like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what Oahu has to offer. And luckily, me and John ended up scoring like one of the best, probably the best big wave day of my life, I'd say. And
I think one of the best big wave outer reef days ever on Oahu.
it really changed my mind and being like, I'm just gonna stay here and try to score the big lefts here.
That's the thing. There's these waves that have always been here, but now you take what we're capable of doing in the way we're surfing waves, and you apply them to waves that people were like, oh no, that's just a closeout, because maybe they're taking off on a different part of it.
Yeah.
And it's filling out. But from deep, you could be backdooring a 20-foot barrel.
Yeah.
Like, you apply our new way of surfing, which we do it like piping backdoor. You take
Yeah.
that and put it on a 30-foot wave.
Yes. With this, what also has changed is the equipment.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we first got into it, I used to have these big boards that were way too long. And do you remember when you take off on a big wave, like our old school big wave boards, it would literally feel like you were fighting the board to go forward.
Yes.
It felt like it was
It would
pulling
suction
you
cup into
back.
the face. Like, it would
Yeah.
suction cup and you go, oh, like over your front
Like
foot.
your toes would be gripping to not slide forward.
Yeah.
'Cause
Much
you-
less turning.
Yeah. And now these, I don't know if you can see, we got a couple boards back there for the Eddie. Those things almost like take off. And I'm like,
Totally.
when I'm grabbing rails sometimes, I'm like, oh, hanging on, like getting
Yep.
pulled back.
Our boards have changed so much due to the way we're surfing waves. It's pretty much, we're taking what was once the paddle-act, we're modifying it closer and closer to, I think, what our slab boards will be. Our step-ups at pipe and backdoor.
Yeah.
Because we're surfing waves like Jaws and Himalayas or these outer reefs.
With drops like chokes.
Jobs like tropes,
Yeah.
the way we would surf those waves. And so you need your equipment. That's a big reason why I switched to 3-fin this year. Because I was like, I just want it closer and closer to what my pipe boards perform like.
Yeah. I know, I can't wait to try that, actually.
Yeah.
Because all my boards now, big boards, are all 4-fin. And I ordered
Yep.
a ton of 3-fins, and hopefully they're ready this season, Paizel. If you're watching this, Paizel, I need those boards ASAP. The Eddie's on in 2 days, so I
Jack
need 'em
Paizel.
tomorrow. Brett's there.
Speaking of Himalayas, that was one of our very first big wave outer reef sessions as our
Yeah.
generation. And it so happened to be, we were out there like, I think we were all in board shorts. We might have had the...
No, we had the little thin
It was a
padded life
wakeboarding
jacket.
padded
Yep.
vest. This was before inflation. Guys were just starting to wear foam, and what we'd wear is there was these wakeboarding vests for those guys who would impact the water super hard.
Yeah.
We were wearing them because it was just a little bit of float, and our whole crew paddled out to this outer reef in just not knowing, oh, it looks like an epic day. We somehow made it out. I don't know how we made it out the size it was.
Somehow. Because now when I safety at Himalayas, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can barely get the jet ski out here.
Yeah, guys are
I'm like,
launching 300 foot on jet
Dude,
skis.
put that clip in.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. I can't. For that session, I remember I was 17 years old, so you were either 16 or 17.
Yep.
And we went out with Reef McIntosh.
Yep.
Is like a very vivid memory. Kala, Alexander.
Mhm.
I don't know if Makua was out there.
Kieran, Ivan, Eli, and John.
Okay. But I remember I got a really good wave. I got like a kind of sick pocket ride at 17 years old.
Yeah,
Had a
right
big
away.
wave.
You were the first one to paddle one
Yeah.
in that session. Yeah.
And I was
remember.
like, wow, that was the sickest thing ever. I remember getting back out and talking to like everyone, like, that was so sick. Like, oh, how was that wave? Like, just a stoked Grom. And next thing you know, there's just a bomb that hit a different shelf and caught us
literally, like,
all
you
inside.
might have heard it referenced in Big Wave, like the horizon turning black. Like this wave, we drifted over maybe a 10-footer and couldn't see, and then we are looking up at a black wall. Like the whole
Traumatizing.
horizon turned dark, and we're like, we're done for. Like we're Groms, and now we tried to push it. We thought we were big wave guys. Like we're gonna die right now. This
Yeah.
is it. And I remember paddling, and I was so scared. I was trying to inhale a breath, and I
Yeah.
couldn't get it. I was just going, and I was just thinking like, oh
You're
my god,
hyperventilating.
if I'm this bad, like Ivan at that time was what? He was 14.
13
like-
or 14.
He's gonna perish. Like this is it. And I remember diving under inside of like a 30-foot barrel. I dive under, and I just hear the of leashes breaking and bigger like of boards breaking.
Yeah.
Leashes and boards, you could hear them breaking underwater as 30 people got caught inside on a 30-footer.
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever heard so many leashes and
Yeah.
boards break.
To this day, I've never heard
Underwater.
that many at one
Yeah.
time.
Traumatizing experience.
Traumatizing. And I remember I made it through, and I just looked back to see. I don't know if you made it through or not, but
No, I
Ivan
didn't make
and
it through.
Eli got pulled over the falls, and I just remember being so worried because Ivan was such a Grom, and Eli later said that he popped up next to Ivan, and Ivan was just pale white, just hyperventilating. Just going, I was just like, oh my god, the poor little guys. It's so
Dude.
gnarly.
I popped up doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Hyperventilating, white as a ghost.
Yeah.
I know I looked like that because Reef McIntosh was right there and was like, "You're gonna be okay, Graham.
Yeah, you're
Like, you're gonna be okay." And he's in a rash guard. Like the older guys had no float on, and we
Just
had these
giant.
little floats, way
So
before pull
gnarly.
vests and stuff. And I thought I was gonna die. I was like, "Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life?" Like,
Yes, this is.
I think so.
Let's
I think
let's go.
I like this path. We'll give it a shot. Anything about this lighting?
Yeah, it's getting pretty dark, so
Yeah.
we should wrap this up. Episode 1,
Episode 1
done.
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 We're still coming up with a name. You guys, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and there will be lots more podcasts coming with lots of people that we bring on the show. We're gonna have a full setup with mics and better cameras and quality and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel. Send us a name. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching and or listening, and tell your friends. We're stoked to get this going. There's just a ton of info that, even on the vlogs, as much as we film there's so much storytelling and backstory and all this different stuff that goes
Yeah.
into what we do that I think is really cool to share, especially like on the fear side and like how we talked about adrenals and all that and preparation
Yeah.
and things you guys will find interesting. So
And there's so much more outside of surfing.
yes.
So just let us know what you guys want to hear. All right. Good.
Does that say how long it was recording? Oh, no, it doesn't.
Probably look at the clip. These are the cameras we're using, by the way.
High tech quality.
No mic, no mic, nothing.
Built-in microphone
Sick.
for recording.
Hopefully the audio